Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video, I want to explore a sort of like a more interesting topic that we are actually facing today. Now I'm sure a lot of you are aware that AI is the next big thing, and everyone is just throwing in AI into their smartphones. But when it comes to smartphone photography, what I really appreciate here personally is actually a balance between the hardware as well as the software. That means that if you have a lot of AI integrations, but if your hardware is crap, then at the end of the day, you might not get good photos. Now, anyways, a couple of weeks back, I actually had the opportunity to join OPPO on their imaging tour, where I was actually able to test out the Find X7 Ultra, and in this particular case, I think there's quite the balance, the perfect balance between hardware as well as software. Now let's take a look at this particular device. So first things first, at the back here, we do have a quad camera setup. Each of them are 50 megapixels to ensure every shot that you take, it doesn't matter if it's a telephoto shot, a normal kind of shot, or even an ultra wide, everything is going to look crisp. So what are we actually looking here in terms of the hardware? Now first up, we do have the 50 megapixel, the 1-inch sensor that comes with OIS, awesome stuff there. Now second, we actually have two telephoto lenses, and the reason for that is because one is actually a 2.8 times zoom and the other one is actually a 6 times zoom. So it gives you a flexibility on choosing which exact range do you need, instead of relying on those in-sensor zooms, which does not come out with the best quality. Anyway, both of the telephoto lenses also comes with OIS, so that means 3 of the sensors out of the 4 actually come with OIS, that's stabilization. Pretty awesome there. And last but not least, we do have the 50 megapixel ultra wide, which I mentioned earlier on. Now this does not come with OIS, which is completely fine. So those are the quad sensors on board. Again, like I said, this is actually a very strong and capable hardware, and it's going to be pairing it together with the software, the processing and all that to come up with some pretty good shots. So let's talk a bit about the photos. What did it actually achieve during my trip to Chiang Mai? Now first things first, I need to let you know that in terms of photos for the normal average user, there's obviously the normal photo mode, which actually can capture pictures very well. It doesn't matter if you're taking photos during the day or during the night, even if you're taking portrait shots, which this phone does very well, simply because it has the 50 megapixel, 2.8 times as well as 6.0 times zoom. So you can actually capture a lot of very solid portraits, one that actually looks very close to that of an actual camera. So that's what you can expect if you are a beginner, some very solid kind of photos directly by just hitting the shutter button. You don't have to tweak anything. However, if you are a bit more advanced and you want to actually gain more control of your photography, well, this is where you can actually go to the master mode. Now for this particular section, I noticed that there were a lot of settings that you can tweak, but what actually came out from this phone is actually pictures that look a bit, how should I put it, the shadows were a bit lesser and the highlights was a little bit more, so you actually get a picture that looks very aesthetic. Now if you pair that together with the Hasselblad tuned colors, I must say that the photos coming off the Find X7 Ultra is something that I would consider as definitely one of the top that's currently available in the market today, simply because of the color tuning. The amount of sharpness that you have is not excessive to the point where if you just look at a photo, it's taken by a phone. However, if you look at the photos from the Find X7 Ultra, some of them look like as if it could have been taken by an actual an expensive kind of camera. So very impressive kind of hardware on the Find X7 Ultra, which again, like I said, this brings me back to my very start of the video where I said that it's really a balance between very strong hardware and good software processing. Now in case you are not aware, the phone itself is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, so naturally all your photos are going to come out very quickly. The processing is great. In case you're wondering about what else actually makes the entire photography experience a little bit better, well, first up, we do have this very nice design at the back here, which sort of resemble an actual camera. The bottom portion is actually covered in this sort of like vegan leather kind of feel. Try and hear that. Now you might have seen vegan leather on a ton of phones these days, and usually they are actually a bit smoother. However, if you just look a little bit closer on the one of the OPPO Find X7 Ultra, you notice that there's a bit more texture going on at the back, so it ultimately gives you a bit more grip, especially if you are the kind of person like me who don't really like to use a case. The case is like that. Why do you want to cover such a nice looking design? So yeah, a lot of grip here. You don't really feel like the phone is going to slip off your hands at any point of time. Now in terms of the display, now this is also very important because you're going to be checking out your photos on the display of this particular device. So what we have here is a very top of the line kind of display. Naturally, since it's a flagship, you do get a fairly large display. It's curved on the sides, not something that everyone would prefer, but what you're getting here is an LTPO AMOLED display, refreshes at 120 Hz. More importantly, it's actually a 1440p display. That means that the pixel per inch, the pixel density is actually slightly more than 520 ppi, and that makes the display very sharp. So overall, what can I say about the photography experience on the OPPO Find X7 Ultra? I think OPPO is really showing us that they can push the limits or the boundaries of what you can expect from a camera phone. So that's really exciting to see. Now, unfortunately, the Find X7 Ultra is not coming to global markets, but I hear that the next X8 Ultra might actually come into global markets where all of you will be able to enjoy and see the potential of what smartphone photography can actually be achieved. Now with that said, thank you for joining me in this very quick video in exploring what a strong hardware paired with software can do on a smartphone. If you have any further feedback or tips on what I should test out next time, feel free to leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Do take care and stay safe. Bye bye.